Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are here with Orcust. Orcust is an archetype full of, instrument monsters? I don't really know how to explain it. They're like mechanical beasts that are created from instruments. But their main gameplay mechanic is to utilize dark monsters in order to help facilitate the summoning of powerful Link and Xyz monsters, notably Dingirsu, Galatea, and Longirsu, and backing that up with powerful spell and trap cards, such as Crescendo, which is an Omni-Negate that banishes and adds recursion to your strategy, as well as Orchestrated Babble, which allows you to basically play on your opponent's turn, by utilizing your graveyard effects to activate other such effects, special summoning, and the like. This means that you can have things like IP Masquerena as well as Zeraboros to potentially wipe your entire opponent's field. And if we've seen what's going on in the the TCG, with Zeraboros being absolutely crazy in Terra Element, you can see why this is a good setup. Now, I don't actually go through that line in any of these plays because most of the time my opponent surrendered before that ever came up. But all in all, this is still a very interesting strategy and has a lot of interesting, fun mechanics. This is genuinely one of the most fun decks that I've played in quite a while. Yeah, just super fun. I've been wanting to play this for a while, and I'm very glad that we have. So let's start off with the Orcusts, starting off with the best two, that being Orcust Harp Horror, as well as Girsu, the Orcust Mech Knight. Girsu, when it is normally specialed, can dump an Orcust or a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. Orcust Harp Horror, on the other hand, can banish itself to special summon an Orcust monster from the deck. This allows you to, basically, anytime you see Girsu, you can get to Harp Horror, or if you see Harp Horror, you can get to Girsu. They basically get each other, as well as they can dump whatever other thing, or special summon whatever other thing that you need. Most of the time, you are going to be summoning out your Nightmare. Nightmare can banish a card in order to target a monster on the field. It banishes itself, targets a card in the field. That card gains attack equal to the monster that you send to the graveyard's level times 100, I think. Yes. Which basically allows you to dump another card. Very good. Also setting up your banish pile, which will come up later. Normally, your target is the World Wand. World Wand, when sent to the graveyard, can special summon another World Legacy card from hand, and it can banish itself in order to special summon one of your banished Orcust or World, just Orcust monsters, and special summon it. It does lock you into dark monsters, but so do like all of these other effects. So keep that in mind. Next up, we have, of course, the Symbol Skeleton. This card is used to similar effect as the Orcust Harp Horror, except instead of summoning from deck, it summons from grave. This allows you to do the Zeraboros stuff. You send this card to the graveyard, and then have another Orcust in your graveyard. Then you go into IP Masquerena, you make the Zeraboros, and then on your opponent's turn, you activate this guy's effect with the Babble, which allows you to activate it on the opponent's turn, in order to special summon this guy to a zone this card points to, and wipe the field, as well as banishing everything your opponent controls. Pretty nice. Next up, we have one more Orcust card, that being Orcust Brass Bombard. This card basically does the same thing as the other two, except for the hand. It's also a level 1, and it is a tuner, which never really comes up. As for the remaining cards, we have the Armageddon Knight as well as Dark Grepher, because they are just the best cards to dump cards to the graveyard. They all just dump dark monsters, which is very nice. Dark Grepher also being able to pitch cards from hand is very nice. If you end up drawing like a Nightmare or a World Wand, you can just pitch it to special summon this guy. Very good. We're also playing the Dangers because, of course, we are. They're just really good in decks where you want to, again, dump cards from hand. I'm playing 1 Jackalope, 2 Tsuchinoko, and 3 Nessie. Nessie is really good specifically with Dark Grepher, which is why we're playing it in particular. And then Tsuchinoko and Jackalope are just targets for the other ones. Yeah, there's... it's just whatever's. Just kind of whatever dangers you want. You could also play Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot would be pretty nice because it would allow you to potentially go into Dingirsu if you had like 2 of them on the field. So there's that. And then, of course, the hand traps. We are playing triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, double Nibiru, and double Infib. These are just like the best hand traps, while also allowing you to set up basically a better, stronger board with more back row and the like, and pair that with Forbidden Droplet to pitch cards out of your hand that may have been stuck there, like the Nightmare, and it seems to be very good. We're also playing, of course, Fusion Destiny with the Disc Commander, which does come up, and the Dasher for our DPE. We can make DPE pretty easily here, and we don't really mind having dead cards in our hand, because most of our cards are one-card starters. We also have one Rhoda, as well as the 2 Called By. Moving on to the extra deck, we do have, of course, the 1 DPE, the 1 Dingirsu. This could be bumped up to 2, as well as the Longirsu bumped up to 2, but honestly, the extra deck isn't all that tight. There's a lot of different things that you could change out. Like, you don't even have to play the Zeroboros, but I do. The 1 Anima, because both of these cards are level 1, and it might come up. Never did, but it might. 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Galatea. This card is the through line for basically your entire combo. You shuffle back one of your banished Orcust monsters in order to set either your Babel or your Crescendo. Normally, I like to set the Crescendo and then follow up with the Babel, but sometimes if you have a really good line, like you have a way to get to Masquerena as well as the Galatea, then going for Babel allows you to go for the Zeroboros. This doesn't come up all that often. Normally something gets stopped along the way, but it is something to look forward to. We also have, of course, the IP Masquerena. We have 1 Barricade Borg blocker because it just requires 2 monsters with different names. We have 1 Brute Enforcer because it just requires 2 effect monsters. We have the 1 Predaplant Verite Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Unicorn to go into off of the IP Masquerena, 1 Longirsu. This card, if it's linked, it cannot be destroyed. Also, you could target 2 of your banished machines, shuffle them into the deck, and then send a linked monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. So as long as you have something that's pointing here or here, for the Longirsu, you're able to just send it away, which is very nice. Also, you can't attack that turn, but it does also recycle materials as well. We have 1 Apollosa, we have 1 Zeroboros, 1 Access Code, and 1 Underworld Goddess. So let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so first things first, all of these games were played in Diamond 1, so they're not the highest of quality. But that being said, they're still rather interesting. So we end up drawing the Armageddonite, and this is the 1-card combo. We're able to go Armageddonite, dump the Orcust in order to go for the Orcust Harp Horror here, and of course we drew the Ash Blossom for the Max C. You will see that come up a lot. We have a lot of outs to it, even though we're not playing the cross out. We're going to special summon out the Girsu. Girsu will dump the Orcust Nightmare, and then we're going to try and special summon out the Nessie. We luckily hit the perfect one with the Nibiru, so we get to keep the droplet here. So that's pretty nice for us. We end up drawing into World Wand, which is normally our send target off of the Orcust Nightmare. So this is pretty bad, but you'll see what we end up doing instead. So we're going to go for the Nightmare here, and we're going to dump the Symbol Skeleton. We're then going to activate the Galatea in order to set the Crescendo. We're going to set 1 and pass. Now, with our Droplet as well as the Crescendo, we are able to hopefully stave off whatever my opponent has, as well as get the World Wand out of the hand, which is very nice. Also, we do have to have the Galatea on the field for the Orcust Crescendo to activate, so I end up just activating the Orcust Crescendo on the Afterburners. It does banish a spell as well, which puts them off of a few more of their own spells. They're going to go to battle here with the Hayate after they normal summon the Rose, and they are going to crash and die. They're going to try and activate the effect, but it doesn't go through. Next, they go Pot of Desires, because Pot of Desires is a very balanced card and definitely shouldn't be banned. Anyway, moving on. They have Galatea. We still have the Galatea and the Armageddonite, so we're going to go and activate Galatea once again. We're going to shuffle back a card, and we're going to set our Babel. We're going to just flip up the Babel so that we can now quick effect to activate our monster effects. My opponent is going to negate our Symbol Skeleton with their Ghost Spell that they happened to draw for turn. Depressing. But we are going to go for the World Wand here to special summon back the Skeleton. Then we're going to pitch the Nessie in order to activate the Nessie to get another, just kidding, Called By. Happy day, you love it. We're going to go for the Dingirsu here. We're going to activate its effect. They are going to choose to negate, which not really anything I can do about that. We're going to link off into a Predaplant Verite Anaconda, and we're going to then activate the effect. Since we haven't seen any of the DPE stuff, we now get to make a DPE. I'm going to activate the DPE, and they will flip up another Called By and banish the second Symbol Skeleton. Annoying, but okay. We're going to go to battle and deal what damage we can. Now, the only top deck that realistically my opponent could have that does anything here is specifically Engage. So, of course, that's what they top deck. So now this game is interesting because now there isn't really anything that I can do that does anything here. I just kind of have to wait for them to go through their combo and interrupt them when I can. They're going to bring back Engage. Engage should definitely be banned. It's a problematic card. Then they are going to go for Widow Anchor. They are going to steal my Ding for some reason and make Zeke. I don't know why they stole the Ding. They probably should have stolen the DPE, but I guess it makes sense. Anyway, we're going to pop their Zeke. Obviously, Ray comes back. We are going to be able to activate our DPE, and we know that they don't have a called by because they've used both of them. They're going to punch in for 3,000 damage total and pass the turn. They do have Shizuku, which is pretty nice. And during the end phase, we are going to add ourselves the Orcust Harp Horror off of our banished Orcust Crescendo. They're going to add the Hornet Drones here, and at this point, I just have to find lethal. They're at 2250, so it shouldn't be too hard. We actually draw the Nessie here, so Dasher is going to special summon it out, because that allows us to get into the monsters that we need. So we're going to normal summon out the Orcust Harp Horror, and then go into IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is just a stepping stone to get these monsters off of the field. So we're going to go for the Orcust Nightmare, go into Longirsu, and then we will activate the Nightmare effect in order to dump the Symbol Skeleton. Symbol Skeleton will now revive our Dingirsu, which will be able to send the Shizuku to the graveyard, triggering the Ray, which then we can use the DPE to pop the Ray if we need to. So that's the plan here. So they're going to summon out their Ray. I'm going to activate the DPE. They have the effect failure. Okay, not really anything I can do about that. But we can now just link off into Access Code. Access Code is lethal even if they go into a Kaina here, which they obviously do. But yeah, we have the DPE. We still get to activate the Access Code effect. So we're going to pop their card and then proceed to battle. Good game. You gotta love Engage. Alright, and here we are once again going first, and we have a Dark Grepher as well as Nightmare. This is an insane hand, because it's full combo. So we're going to just freely special summon out the Dark Grepher, and then we are going to dump ourselves the Nessie to dump a Harp Horror. This is really good for us, because now we can go Nessie to add the Tsuchinoko, as well as we can go Harp Horror here in order to special summon out the Girsu. Girsu's effect is going to activate to dump the Symbol Skeleton, and then we are going to link off into Galatea. Galatea's effect is going to activate. We're going to target the Harp Horror, and of course they have the Interruption. I do think that the correct thing to negate is the Galatea, so they played that correctly. Moving on, we are going to special summon back the Girsu with our Symbol Skeleton, just to get an extra body onto our side of the field. I'm going to go for the Tsuchinoko, just because, again, I want another body, so that we can have something here. We are then going to go for the Nightmare effect in order to dump the World Wand effect to then special summon back the Harp Horror, so that we have it for ourselves. We're going to go for the Dingirsu here, just to have additional protection, as well as attach the Symbol Skeleton that was banished. I will then make Verte Anaconda and go for DPE here. This just happens to be the board that we can make. I could have potentially gone IP Masquerena here, but I felt like going for the DPE was a little bit stronger, just because we didn't have access to either Babel or the Crescendo. And right here is a really good instance where I had such a strong hand, and it wasn't really interrupted until Galatea, where had Galatea not specifically been interrupted, going for the Zeraboros line would have been the play. So going for Babel instead of the Crescendo would have been what I had gone for. They're going to go for the Fateful Adventure here, and I'm going to activate my DPE to pop the Fateful Adventure, as well as itself. I always pop the DPE instead of something like Verte, just because there are so many ways to deal with DPE that doesn't require it being destroyed, so that just seems to be the best option. Then out comes Union Hanger! Oh my gosh, it's ABC! Let's go! So yeah, honestly, they played it very well. They activated their Fateful Adventure to bait out the Union Hanger, and now they get their Union Hanger off to the races. I'm going to drop my Maxi here and just prevent them from like special summoning and doing anything. And then they're going to go for the Urgent Schedule, and now we have a Bee-Buster Drake that is unaffected by spell effects and unaffected by monster effects. And it will come up, because I'm not going to lie, I didn't know that. I'm going to activate my Predaplant Verte Anaconda, and we're going to try and change it to dark. I literally don't even realize that it's not a dark monster. I just didn't phase me. But we're going to go for the Longirsu here, and we're going to activate the effect, and we're going to shuffle back 2 of our monsters, as well as sending this away. Just kidding. Can't do that. And then that was when I decided to read. Whoops. Anyway, so we are going to then send the World One off of our Nightmare to boost up our Longirsu. The World one will then special summon back the Harp Horror, which we haven't used this turn, which then will allow us to go into Access Code. We're going to go Access Code here, and we're going to boost it up. We're going to activate the effect, and we're going to pop the Union Hanger, and then we're going to proceed to battle. At this point, I actually do something a little bit stupid. Realistically, what I should have done, which would have given me exact lethal, is I should have gone attack with Girsu into this guy, activate DPE, pop the Girsu, pop the Assault Core. This card would then lose 400 attack due to the 2 heroes that I have in grave, attack with DPE, and then attack and attack again, which would have given me exactly lethal. And you'll see. Yeah. So I deal 300 here. They activate the effect, add up the C Crush Wyvern. I attack in, deal 11, and I am 400 exact lethal would have been had I done that a little bit better. But that's okay, because we're going to go into IP Masquerena to get the Symbol Skeleton into the grave, which will then allow us to bring back the Galatea, and Galatea can shuffle back the World Wand, which can then set the Crescendo. So now what we have is a Masquerena that could potentially go into a myriad of different things. We have Infip, we have Orcust Crescendo, and of course we have Maximum Cockroach, because of course we do. And we have a DPE coming back. So there's that. I'm going to just fire off the Maxi, because I can, because I don't know, suffer. Out comes the Crush Wyvern. I don't know why I popped this, because I know how ABC Buster Drake can be summoned, so I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just like, it's fine. And it is, so there's that. They're going to special summon out the Assault Core, then we are going to see that they have the ABC Buster Dragon, and I'm like, I don't really want to deal with that, so I am going to tag out with the IP Masquerena, and we are going to go into the Underworld Goddess using everything that we have. We're going to negate the effect of the Assault Core, and they decide to commit Honorable Sudoku. So yeah, good game. So this game isn't all that special, but look at my opponent's name. Just look at it for a second. Of course they have it. Of course they have the cockroach. So how do we play around the cockroach? Well, honestly, there is a lot that we can do. So here I add up the Armageddon Knight, and I just normal summon the Symbol Skeleton so that we can go into our Galatea. Galatea does require an Orcust, so that's why we do this. I'm going to go for the Nightmare here to get a Heart Port into the graveyard. And then we are going to shuffle it back into the deck to get the Orcust Crescendo. We're sitting on literally Maxi and Crescendo. That's it. That's all that we got. And my opponent is playing Synchron. So I'm going to activate my Maxi, because of course we are maxing the sea. And my opponent is going to activate their tuning here in order to, well, they dumped the Majestic Dragon. Out comes the Junk Synchron. I do have to negate specifically the Junk Synchron because I cannot negate the Junk Speeder. Junk Speeder would be chain blocked, which means that at that point it's useless. So yeah, I do have to negate the Junk Synchron here, and at this point the game is basically over. I have Armageddon Knight to dump more monsters. I draw the Called By as well, and we have a Harp Horror already in grave. My opponent realizes that this game is over and concedes. Understandable. Alright, so here we are once again going first. Going first is obviously what we are wont to do, and this hand is really jank. However, we drew Orchestrated Babel and potential to get full combo. Let's see if it goes through. Obviously it does, and we draw the Armageddon Knight. At this point, if Armageddon Knight again goes through, we have a full combo. So we're going to dump the Harp Horror in order to go into the Girsu. Girsu will then dump the Nightmare in order for us to go into Galatea. Galatea's effect is going to activate. We're going to shuffle back that Nightmare, or the Harp Horror, in order to set Crescendo, and then we are going to activate our Orchestrated Nightmare, or Orcust Nightmare, in order to dump the World Wand. World Wand will then special summon out the Nightmare, and then we will just link them off into a Predaplant, Verity Anaconda. And I know what you're thinking. If you set Crescendo, why did you link off your Link monster? Don't you need that? Well, because we already have Orchestrated Babel, what we can do is we have access to the Nightmare in grave. So, on the opponent's turn, we can go Nightmare effect, target the DPE, that's going to come back, because we're going to pop both of our monsters. So we're going to target our DPE, boost its attack by dumping a Symbol Skeleton. Symbol Skeleton will then banish itself to bring back the Galatea, and then we will have Galatea and DPE on our side of the field. Make sense? Makes sense. So, we're going to go for the DPE here. We're going to pop both of our monsters just in case they have a super polymerization, and, well, it doesn't really matter, but more so just because I don't like having Berthe on my side of the field. It's too easy to just beat over. So yeah, here's the play. We're going to go for the Symbol Skeleton, and then we will go Symbol Skeleton, activate its effect in order to go Galatea. Now, obviously, this loses to Called By, but given the fact that we have a Forbidden Droplet in Imperm, as well as the DPE, I'm feeling okay. I see that they normal summon Adamancipator Researcher, and I go, okay, if they're normal summoning this, they probably don't have much. Might as well pop it. And then I get punished because it's Fossil Fusion. And they just summon out a big dude. Alright. I mean, I'm not dead, so I'm okay. But, like, okay. Heavily punished. However, our DPE did get to activate, which means out comes Disc Commander. Disc Commander allows us to draw 2, and we draw into Dark Grepher. We're going to normal summon the Dark Grepher as well as the, which allows us to pitch the Harp Horror, and then we're going to actually quick effect Harp Horror to summon out the Nightmare. We're going to dump, I believe, a Symbol Skeleton, and then we are going to go into Longirisu. Now, they didn't play around the zones very well, because now we can go Longirisu in order to shuffle 2 cards back and send it away. Goodbye. Then we are going to go for the Nightmare here, as well, to go for the World Wand. World Wand effect is going to then summon back the Harp Horror. And then we're going to go for the Symbol Skeleton in order to bring back the Girsu. Girsu will then also dump another monster, which is another Nightmare. We're going to go and deal as much damage as we can, which just happens to be 35. Not a lot, but it's what we can do. Then we're going to go for the IP Mask Arena, set 1, and pass. We have a lot of interaction at this point. And my opponent is going to give me Comungus and then summon Block Dragon. At this point, I'm just going to send the Block Dragon away. Just send it away. They're going to activate the Block Dragon. I'm going to go Crescendo to banish it as well. And yeah, at this point, the game is over. They just allow me to deal damage here for a game. So yeah, at this point, I already have lethal. We could still go Harp Horror. We could still go Orcust Nightmare. There's so much that we can do in Grave. Also, we could have done that on the opponent's turn as well. So there's that. Good game. Alright, here we are, again, going first, as we are wont to do. Apparently, everyone in Diamond 1 also wanted to go second, which was kind of weird. But we drew the one-of! We drew Girsu. So we're going to activate the Girsu, and of course my opponent has the Maxi, which we are going to promptly Called By. Pretty nice. We're going to dump the Harp Horror. Harp Horror will... oh, sorry. Girsu has a second effect where if it's the only monster that is on the field, you can summon 2 tokens. So we summon out 2 tokens. We're going to go for the Harp Horror in order to go into the Nightmare, which will then allow us to go into Galatea. Galatea will then shuffle back the the Harp Horror, which will allow us to grab Crescendo. We're then going to send the World Wand, which will then special summon out the Nightmare, which will then allow us to go into IP Mask Arena. So now we have IP Mask Arena, Crescendo, Droplet, Imperm, and we have Nightmare in hand as well. Pretty nice. My opponent goes for the Harpy's Feather Duster, which of course we have to negate. Kind of sad, but alas. Windwitch. They're going to try to go to battle to get rid of this token that we happened to give them, and I'm going to go for the Nightmare Unicorn. I'm going to shuffle away their monster, as well as dumping the Orcust Nightmare. Now, I could have also gone into something like an Access Code or an Apollosa, but I think this one was just a little bit better, because it gets their monster off of the field, which they do need a minimum of 1 Windwitch monster in order to actually activate the Freeze Bell effect. So, yeah, there you go. They're going to go for the Ice Bell, and that summons out Blizzard Bell. So, I was punished. Whoops! Anyway, they're then going to go into Diamond Bell, which... This has such a weird effect. It basically burns, according to the amount of attack, or, I think, defense, that one of your Windwitch has. Half of its attack. And it can use it twice if it was summoned using only Windwitch monsters. So they're just trying to burn me, I guess. I don't really know what's going on. So I go Imperm, they go Cross Out, I go Droplet, because I really don't want this to resolve. And seeing that they have 1 card in hand, I'm like, I should be fine. And I was. Happy day. And it's Called By. Ah, no. Alright. I'm going to just normal summon the Ash Blossom that I happened to draw for a turn and go into Access Code. Access Code will then allow us to pop their monster. I actually should have popped this one and then attacked in. That would have given me more damage to actually kill them. So that was a big mistake. Whoops. Then I actually activate... Oh my gosh. I'm misplaying all over the place. I know that this is Called By. I went into my grave to activate the effect of Crescendo. And then there was only 1 card available, and I just clicked it. Just didn't even think about it, just clicked it. It was Nightmare. Oops. So, yeah, now I'm in a dire strait. I just kind of have to hope that they don't draw anything. They passed the turn. They faded a draw step. Fantastic. We're going to go Crochet. Gosh dang it, it's Ash! Ah! So I don't have lethal here again. Now I would have had if I had attacked or popped the cards in the correct way. I draw Nibiru. Cool. Fantastic. Attack. Do we win? Okay. We at least won the game. So overall, this deck is super fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Is it strong? No, it's really not. It's a control strategy that really relies heavily on hand traps to facilitate, or just like additional cards to facilitate its strategy, but overall the strategy is very recursive. There's a lot that it can do in the grind game. However, with only one Galatea, it's really not that strong. One Galatea, one Harpur, and one Girsu really does limit the power level of the Orcust deck, and to be fair, if it was unlimited, it'd be absolutely overpowered. Genuinely, like, it would be insane. So it does make sense, but overall, even with the limitations, it is still a very fun deck. I actually like playing around the limitations because it gives me a challenge in what I can deck build with and how I can build different things, as well as what different plays I can go for. Is this deck perfect? No. Is this deck good? Yeah. I mean, it plays a lot of hand traps. It is fairly consistent. It does break a bit. It's about as consistent as like Flunder, so there's that. However, its combo is more easily disruptible, so there's that. And I think it's just overall a really interesting deck. Don't know what else to say. I had a great time playing it, and I definitely will return to this deck. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated, and if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.